Okay, we're going to do some pretty wild speculating here. Uh, I was thinking about this last night. I had kind of formed an idea of what's going to go on. And then I happened to look this morning, and I'm not the only one who's thinking that. I had mentioned about all these train loads of tanks and everything going into Belarus. They claimed there's only going to be, I swear they said 1,000 men. But on these trains, on every one, you will see a lot of passenger cars and a lot of box cars. So I think they're prepared for something there. Like I said, there's been a lot of train loads of equipment going through, and in these trains there are tanker cars for fuel, and there are flat cars with tanker trucks sitting on them. Now, granted, if you're moving something around, armor, you need a lot of fuel. So I was thinking, my thought was originally maybe they're going to take a poke at Kiev again, but there's really no need. They figured out, okay, they're going to have to go in pretty hard. There's no negotiating with these Nazis. But they really don't have to go into Kiev. I mean, the only way you go in there, you're going to have to flatten the place. Well, there's no point in that. And, it actually was like the birthplace of Russia. So they've been trying to limit how much they destroy there. And, just a lot of civilians in the way, it's just a... So what I think, and what a lot of other people have brought up, the logical thing for him to do would be to go around Kiev, from Belarus, go around Kiev, and go straight to Odessa. Kind of a blitzkrieg. There's very little defense there. Everything is tied up on the eastern end. And like say, to go to Odessa from down south, you're dealing with a lot of river crossings, and it's a kind of a mess. But there, they got a straight shot across open plains, right to Odessa. Plus, the great advantage is if you cut off their supplies from Poland, they're going to wither away in short order. So there's a strong likelihood. I mean, I could very easily see that happening. There is a fly in that ointment, though. The 101st Airborne is in Romania, like 6 miles from the Ukrainian border. They're lightly armored. They're like a rapid response sort of thing. But they're there. And I think the idea is if Russia makes a run for Odessa, they would pull them into Odessa. Now, this wouldn't be done under any NATO thing. This is where that Proteus You know the nut. He was talking of another, what the hell did they call it that time? Something of the willing, when if we can't get NATO to go, we just get a bunch of other hoodlums in a gang and we go ahead and do it, and that's what he's talking about doing there. So you would have, the UK is itching to go, Poland is itching to go, and we're itching to go. Like I say, can't make it a NATO thing, and if you try, there are a lot of NATO countries that are going to just say, oh, God, no, they aren't going to go for this. You can't use NATO to go around invading people. You have to do that on your own. Well, you're not supposed to, but we do it all the time. But if we get those others in this, God, I can't remember what they call it, something of the willing. It's just a bullshit term, but they use it. They could try to go under that. But if they do, we are going to lose a lot of Americans. They can't go up against armor. And if they go in, the Russians head down there, the likelihood is that the Poles will make a run across the border because they feel that that side of Ukraine belongs to them, that west end. And historically, rightfully so. And honestly, the Poles have got no love for the Ukrainians. But if they can make that land grab, they would do it. I think they would want to avoid actually getting in a conflict with the Russians. But if the Russians make a run, they're going to have to fortify kind of a corridor going down. But I think that's going to happen. Or I could see it. But that's the point. If we get involved, things could escalate very quickly. Because Odessa, there again, a hell of a lot of Russians. It was founded by Russia. They feel that they're Russians. And it would landlock Ukraine. But at the same time, like I said, the 101st is there across the border. But if you watch flight tracking and even the sea shipping, there's been a hell of a lot of stuff going into Constanta in Romania. They've been piling, it's a constant steady stream. So they've been building up for something. So as far as shipping goes down, if something goes down there, Turkey controls the in or out, of the Black Sea. And I don't know where Turkey would fall in this thing. Turkey's in NATO, but Turkey looks out for Turkey. So I don't know, what would go on there. But like I say, a lot of stuff has been going in constantly. And a lot of the surveillance flights that we do in the Black Sea are coming out of there. A lot of air traffic. So that's going on. Something has been building there for a while. So they must have been thinking this was a possibility that Russia could make this run down there. Or them, even if Russia was to come along the coast, they might have been thinking that. But like I say, that's a tougher route. Come to right straight across an open plain. That's a fast route. Plus, it cuts that supply line. So it's a strong possibility. It would answer why all this equipment in Belarus, because it's just, like I say, a pile of stuff has been going in there. There is one other sticky point, but that might not matter anymore. You know, a couple of days ago, I talked about the rumors I'd heard about something triggering alarms going from the UK, triggering alarms coming into Germany and then into Poland. That some nuclear material was being moved. And now I hear talk about, you know, I was thinking tactical nuke, but now there's a lot of talk about Ukraine trying to assemble a dirty bomb and then blame it on the Russians. You know, where you take some hellish conventional explosive and pack around it a lot of radioactive material and then just blow that all over, just, you know, contaminate a very large area. But their idea is they could do this and then blame it on Russia. Like, you know, well, who's the, you know, like say when they were constantly hammering at that nuclear power plant, even when the inspectors were there, they were firing at it. You know, they walk over and they see the missile casings that came from the HIMARS. And yet when they leave, they say, well, we can't really figure out who's doing it. It's kind of like that pipeline where you can't figure out who's doing it. And even now, the Ukrainians are pounding on this dam, trying to blow this dam that's going to flood a huge area. And they're obviously doing this, but they're trying to say, no, the Russians are doing it. You know, you don't believe nothing Ukraine says, nothing at all. But anyway, so their idea is they could blame this dirty bomb on the Russians. The good thing, the Russians are on top of this sort of thing, and they're out ahead of them and telling people what's up, you know, so maybe they'll back off on this. Maybe they won't try to pull it, hopefully. But it's still a possibility. I mean, they could even do this in, like, say, Odessa. Because they have to, you know, in order for this false flag to work, they actually have to kill quite a few people. Though it would sicken thousands, and, you know, it would be a horrible thing. But they aren't above horrible things. So they could very well blow this thing. You know, you could assemble it in a truck and park it in some town and walk away and then claim that the Russians did it. It's still a possibility. You know, if I saw an unmanned truck sitting parked in the street, I would be concerned. Because they are certainly not above this. And especially, like, say, in Odessa, which is very much pro-Russian, you know, they could blame it on the Russians, even though the Russians would never do it, you know. But they could blame it. They could try. You know, any reasoning person would know better. But look how many things that they've done that they expect people to believe. And our news media is right behind them. Though even ours, I don't think it's as bad as the UK. I don't know what is wrong with them people, but they're a problem. Like I say, I think this nuclear material actually came out of the UK. But again, that was a rumor. But things like that have a habit of coming true in this situation. The idea would be that, oh, this is such a tragic human catastrophe that NATO would have to step in. Like I say, I don't think people are going to fall for that. And NATO's pretty shaky now. So I think that would collapse NATO if they try to pull a thing like that. I can't think of that. What they were calling it? Something of the willing. That we used before. When we couldn't get NATO to go behind something, we just do it on our own hook. But if we try that there's going to be a lot of dead Americans. Boy, people really have no value for human life anymore. They're just pawns in this silly power game. But especially Ukrainians. Means nothing to them. What if they can cut off, supplies from Poland, take Odessa, so they can always go back and clean out these Nazis out of Kiev. Maybe a time will come where they can put together some kind of a government again. They got that one guy that was that politician out of Ukraine that they suddenly decided, he was not going along with this Zelensky's crazy ideas. So they had arrested him, but he got swapped in one of these prisoner exchanges. So maybe if they can get rid of the Nazis, they can get him back and he can start trying to form some kind of government again. We'll see. But they got to get, honestly, I think a lot of this is on the Ukrainians, though. They've got to stand up to these people. Though, yeah, tough, very tough. But if you don't, you're all going to die. Yeah. Well, it's all speculation. But it ties up a lot of things that were bothering me. That I saw going on that I couldn't quite make sense of. Like this constant influx in the Constanta. That makes a little more sense. But, what are you going to do? I mean, if they, because Russia really hasn't used their air power. And if we go in there on the ground, which of course Biden said we never would, but we're already there, so we might go in a little heavier. These people on the ground are goners unless they bring in air cover, and if they bring in air cover, then you're dealing with those S-400 and S-500 air defense systems, because the Russians will have them. They were on the train, so they'll have them. When we got that Patriot system, which has never really worked. I thought it was funny when, it's substandard compared to the Russian version, which I thought was funny when, we're pissed at Saudi Arabia, so we were going to take our Patriot missiles out of Saudi Arabia and give them to Ukraine. Well, the Saudis will say, great, fine. We'll get S-400s. Better system, You know, what the hell? Boy, we just are not making friends. Everywhere we go, we make enemies. Well, we got the UK. Well, what's left of the UK? We got that. Yeah. And Poland, you know, they're gung ho. They're ready for anything. But the French are pretty iffy, and the Germans even. And they kind of got their hands full. I think we're going to take a beating if we try anything. Or it's just going to escalate all out of hand, which could easily happen. You know, if we start losing men and planes and ships, over this stupid ass pack of Nazis, that don't make no sense. Oh, I should say, I was talking about India the other day. This is out of India. Old school motorcycle seat. You know, metal pan, honest to God leather. Everything you get here is, you know, plastic seat pan, fake leather. This is old style. This probably made in some back alley someplace. The guy and a couple of kids got the stamping machine for the old Enfield seat pan, and they are hammering them out. Probably made out of an old car hood. Those people do build stuff. Again, these saddlebags, you know, old school type saddlebag out of India. And, you know, goat leather. I really like my goat leather gloves. They're much superior to any other kind of leather. Extremely tough. But goat leather is thin and very flexible. So what they have done like this, they actually have canvas backing on it. And it's funny, you know, like these I can see was stitched on a machine. But like this seat, looking at it, I can see that that was stitched on by hand. Those people are not afraid to work, though it freaks you out sometimes. You watch videos, like I said, they do a lot of work in some back alley little shop. You know, a lot of, like, say, for motorcycles, and a lot of stuff is, everything is built by subs, you know, and then it's assembled in one location. But there's sub-assembly going on. And you see these people, you know, they're wearing what looks like pajamas and sandals, and they're arc welding with one of them old hand masks, you know, there. I don't know how the hell they do it. OSHA would just freak out in India. You know, there's no standard of safety there. But those people are not afraid to work. So I can see, you know, like if Kalashnikov sets up a plant there, by God, they will have production. I've never been disappointed with it. I got bought out of India. It's always reasonably priced and well made. But it's like stuff is, you know, like the seat. I mean, it's pretty much handmade. It's not a mass production type thing. But if they can do that well by hand, you give them modern equipment. Because usually the equipment they're working on is old stuff. but you get them people modern equipment and get them set up and going. They are going to be a power in the world of manufacturing. Well, they already are, but they are going to really dominate it. I think even more so than China. Oh, well, that's enough. Like I say, speculating. I actually thought about making this video and not uploading it. But I think I see a run for Odessa. And I hopefully now that this whole idea of a dirty bomb is out in the public. People are aware of it. And hopefully that'll put a stop to that, because that could be a disaster. But then try to blame it on the Russians. It's like that power plant, where you're shooting at a nuclear power plant and trying to say it was the Russians shooting at the power plant. They're not having much luck with that dam. They've been pounding away, like 100 missiles a day with them HIMARS. Well, they got to run out of HIMARS pretty soon. But that dam is pretty massive. In fact, my understanding is they kind of gave up on the dam, and they were trying to hit the locks next to it, thinking maybe they were a little weaker. But then they were going to float naval mines down. And they claim, oh, no, that's not us, that's the Russians. Again, why in the hell would the Russians do it? But I don't know how Ukraine expects anybody to believe any of their bullshit anymore. But they do. They put it out there. They lie, and we swear to it.